Hi everyone. Today we are going to present Assessing Speaking. This is by my group that is conformed by Laura Veronica Garcia Quintero and Ana Maria Flores Cavadilla, who is speaking. Okay, so in this case, we're talking about speaking, what is considered one of the most complex skills to evaluate. Because when we speak, we need to think, we need to organize ideas, we need to choose vocabulary, we need to apply grammar and pronounce clearly in a real time. So, in this case, according to the British Council, who emphasized that assessing speaking is not only about accuracy or avoiding mistakes, it's more about how well a speaker can communicate meaning in real situations. So, in this case, we're gonna talk about the main features of a speaking assessment. We're gonna talk about classroom example about how teachers can assess speaking, and finally, we can talk about the disadvantages and advantages of this type of assessment. Okay, so what is assessing speaking? When we talk about assessing speaking, we are referring to evaluating how effectively a learner uses spoken language to communicate. So, according to British Council, a speaking assessment measures how learners use the language to express ideas, to exchange information, interact with others, and respond appropriately in different contexts. We have several approaches to assessing speaking. So, for example, we have the interview where one learner interacts with one or more examiners. Also, we have the oral presentation in which a learner presents information to a real or imaginary audience. Also, we have the interactive task where two or more learners work together to solve a problem or make a decision, and the group discussion, which typically involve four or six learners discussing a topic while the teacher observes their communication and the interaction skills. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about the different types of tasks used to assess speaking. Some of the commons include describing something that the student may describe a picture, a place, a person, or even an action. Telling a story, this could be based on one picture or a sequence of pictures or a completely imaginary situation. Also, we have comparing things, so the students may compare real objects, pictures, or photos, or work of art, or even abstract ideas. And the last one that is also common is giving personal information, that this involves talking about familiar topics such as family, hobbies, hometown, or past experience like a trip or a holiday. Also, there are many ways that teachers can design speaking tasks, and some options will be interviews. So, in this case, the teacher asks questions like, "What do you like to do on the weekends?" or something like that. And also, we have role play. So, for example, two students can that they're ordering something in a restaurant. Also, we have picture description. So, in this case, the student describe and imagine in detail a discussion or debate that, for example, we talk about pros and cons of social media. And for the last one, we have short presentations. And in this case, the student's gonna give 1 or 2 minute talk about a familiar topic. So in this case, it's important that the activity match with the student's proficiency level and feels meaningful, so the student can share their ability naturally. Okay, so now let's gonna talk about advantages and disadvantages. So first we have the advantages that would be speaking assessment give us a real measure of how students communicate and not how just they perform on paper. Also, this increases the students' motivations because they can see the ability to use English in a real-time communication. Also, this helps teachers to identify by specific improvement areas like fluency, pronunciation, or vocabulary. Also, these give us a really rich feedback that we can give to the students, and we can also through these improve the learning confidence about see how they good or what areas we can work in when in the time that they're trying to communicate in English.
Some disadvantages that we could find are that it requires trained readers for consistency. It is also a time-consuming activity or task assessment for large groups. It is also a subjective scoring if rubrics are not clear, and we could find a lot that you could get some unequal participation between students because some of them are more likable to talk in English and to speak in general, and others not. A solution that we could find is that we could use a clear analytic rubric and recording for moderation. Some interactive ideas for this kind of task are that students work in pairs or small groups to reach a decision. They can plan something or solve a problem that you have got for them, and they must reflect authentic communication, encouraging negotiation of meaning. The teachers can observe turn taking, also the vocabulary use, the fluency, and the cooperative strategies. This is an example of a task that you could get to your class, that is, you and your partner are planning a weekend trip. So you have a list of 5 destinations, but you can only choose one. Discuss advantages and disadvantages and agree on one option. That's the example. Next. This is a clear example of a classroom application, so practical example that is in a context of B1 high school students. So the task it is to in pairs. The students must discuss how can our school become more eco-friendly. So they have got 15 minutes to talk about it, and then they must agree on 3 feasible actions that they must present for the class. So we've got a teacher instrument that is a rubric extract. So we've got some scores: excellent, good, fair, or poor, and the category we're grading or we're trying to focus on. First, fluency. So if they speak naturally and confidently, they've got a 4. If they can frequent pauses or some hesitations, they will got a less score in the rubric. So finally, as conclusions, we can find that speaking assessment must stimulate real communication to be effective. The interactive task balances authenticity, engagement, and evaluation that is useful for us. And combining technology and well-designed rubrics enhances fairness and accuracy to make our work easier and for them to get a more accuracy grade. So accurate grade. So to test, there is a phrase that we could use that is to test speaking. We must make learners speak, not repeat. Thank you so much for listening.